welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to talk about the series that I finished in 2019. Every year for the last couple of years, I have had the goal of completing 12 series in a year. And with this year, that was no exception. So let's talk about the series that I completed this year, and I will tell you if I recommend them or not. So let's get started. The first series that I finished was the Jane Jameson or Nice Girl series by Molly Harper. This was a great way to start my year, and I ended up averaging the series out at a 4.25. I actually did a blog post talking about this series and if you would like this series or not. And I think that it has a lot going for it, so I definitely would recommend picking up. The next series that I finished this year was the Curse Workers Trilogy by Holly Black. This one is Conmen, and I am glad that I finally finished it, but it was very confusing. I ended up giving this one an average of a 3.67, and I think this one, if you're interested in the premise, you might want to check it out, but otherwise I think it might be something you could potentially skip. The next series that I finished was the Naked Werewolf Trilogy by Molly Harper. I ended up giving this one an average of 4 stars. The one that I liked the least was actually the first book in this series, and this one is Alaskan Werewolves, and I feel like if you didn't super like the first one, that the later books get better, especially since it's a companion series, and it was overall very enjoyable, so I definitely recommend this one as well. Next, I finished the Enchanted Forest Chronicles by Patricia C. Weed. This one is a dragon story, and I overall gave this one an average of a 3.25. I honestly only super liked the first book in this series and kind of felt that it kind of petered after that. So if you're interested in this one, I would say pick up the first book, but it's overall a companion series, so you could probably skip the rest. Next, I finished the Red Queen series by Victoria Aveyard, and I am actually kind of surprised that I finally finished it because this was a series that I had been loving when it first came out, and then as time progressed, I started liking less. I ended up giving this one an average of 3 stars, and honestly, I don't recommend finishing this one or completing this one. This is one of the few that I loved when I first started reading it, but the ending was very sour for me, and I overall felt let down by it. So I don't recommend this particular series. Another series that I'm kind of iffy on if I recommend or not is the Darkly Madly Duet by Trisha Wolfe. This one I picked up because I was trying to delve into dark romance, and this one is definitely a dark romance. However, I ended up giving this one an average of a 3 because I gave both of the books 3 stars. And I'm not sure if I would recommend this one. It is about a serial killer and a psychiatrist who might be darker than she seems. If the premise interests you, I would say check it out, but otherwise I would say skip it. The next series that I finished was the Hex Trilogy by Rachel Hawkins. I had read the first book a while back and wanted to see this series to its conclusion, and I'm so glad that I did. I ended up giving this one an average of 3.67. I feel like the middle book definitely suffered, but overall I do recommend picking up this series if you are interested in it. I know it's an older series, but I feel like it had a lot of good things going for it, especially for being a boarding school story for the first book. And it was overall pretty fun. So I gave this one an average of a 3.67 and definitely would recommend it. The next series I recommend with my whole heart, and that is the Bone Witch Trilogy by Ren Chapico. I gave this one an average of a 5 star, so I gave all 3 books in this series 5 stars. This is a necromancy tale talking about, the first one kind of starts with the character telling her story and how she got to where she was. And I loved it with every fiber of my being. And we're going to move on to the next one, which is the Girls series by Tessa Bailey. I believe it's completed. I don't think there's anywhere else to go. It was 2 books and then a novella, and I gave them an average of a 3, but that's because the first one was really good, the second one was eh, and then the third one was So I gave this one an average of a 3 star, but looking back, the only one that I would really recommend is the first one. The next series that I finished was the Lockwood and Company by Jonathan Stroud. We haven't gotten another book announcements for this one, and it's been a while, so I'm putting this one on the list, especially since of how the 5th book ended. This is a 5-book series, and I gave them an average of a 4.4. This is a middle grade paranormal series where children can see ghosts, and children are paranormal ghost investigators and trying to figure out and kind of help the world with ghosts. And it's super fun, and the world builds as the books go on. The next series I finished this year was the Folk of the Air Trilogy by Holly Black. I finished 2 Holly Black series this year. This one, however, I averaged with a 5 out of 5. I loved this series with my whole heart. I understand that a lot of people have some criticisms towards this one, but I personally recommend it if you are interested in Fae books and you have like baseline Fae knowledge, because it does, you know, do the I know what baseline things happen in Fae worlds. And the last series that I finished in 2019, I know that this is going up a little bit early, but I've decided I'm just gonna stick with standalones for the rest of the year so I can just definitively say this, and that is The Girl from the Well Duology by Rin Chipiko. I averaged this one with 4 stars. This is, again, a ghost story. I love Rin Chipiko's writing. I think it's beautiful. And this one is about a ghost, and she, you know, attacks like murderous people, and she kind of finds herself interested in this boy who has weird things happening to him. And I recommend this one. It's definitely different from her normal stories, but it's definitely, it holds up even though it's older. So those are the 12 series that I read in 2019, and I recommended most of them, which is pretty great. What about you? What are some series that you read in 2019 that you would recommend to me? I ended up reading a lot of series that were not finished in 2019. I also will be talking about the series that I decided to not finish in 2019, so be on the lookout for that video. If you like what you saw here today, be sure to like and subscribe. I normally post videos on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Thank you so much for watching, and have a nice day.